do you give people before getting back to them? And Jill is saying, can you give people rewritten articles on different types? On the how do you actually make that approach in the first place? I think if you've got a specialist area like sort of gardening or motoring, or a subject that you are producing a regular column on, it might well be that you are offering that to a number of different non-overlapping outlets at a competitive rate, and some writers do that on a regular basis. Jilly's got another approach, which is obviously there will be times when you've conducted a face-to-face interview that provides scope for quite a lot of interesting and very different types of feature articles, but still perhaps based on the core material. And there's certainly nothing stopping you from effectively selling different articles to different outlets, again, presuming that you are not selling pretty much the same thing to direct rivals who won't thank you for jeopardising the exclusivity of that sort of subject. Max's point about when do you chase up something and try and sell it on to something else is obviously, to be honest, the ongoing nightmare for just about every freelance out there is how do you time things, and when's the best time to give them a nudge and chase it up. And of course the worst possibility is that a publication is sitting on an article that you think is pretty saleable somewhere else, and you don't want to jeopardise it by passing it on to another customer without seeing if the initial publication is going to use it. To be honest, this is, it's a process of trial and error, which is not ideal, but I think most freelancers are looking to move into a situation where you're gradually building up a portfolio of regular clients that you can trust and with whom you have a good working relationship, so that the questions about those kind of things, about money, about how often they need things, how much they're paying for it, they are the type of clients that we tend to be chasing, and it obviously becomes a lot easier to deal with the same person over a period of time. I think that's a belated message from somebody saying that I've gone very quiet, but I'm just checking on your feedback here. Is the volume still okay, Titan, and the others? Can you hear me okay? I may have moved my microphone. Thanks for the feedback.
I can hear you fine.
Good. Okay. There will be circumstances where you don't have to wait for a rejection from one, but of course it depends. I mean, in some cases, the next customer might well be a direct rival, so that's where things tend to be a little bit sensitive, because it's much easier, I think, if you're actually building up a relationship with, say, sort of a specific magazine. You're trying, you suggest an article to them that they like, or you actually send them the finished piece, and then they go ahead with that. And on the basis of that first one, you've then got a relationship where if you think there is another subject that they might be interested in a month or two's time, you're going down that road. Everyone likes the idea of a regular weekly or monthly column, because that gives you regular income. But I suppose the only word of warning there is that that's quite a big time commitment for anyone, and you can get locked into things that, on the one hand, might provide you with a source of income for a number of years. So fantastic. But on the other hand, could trap you as well into something that perhaps do you have enough ideas to sustain a column for that length of time? Susie asks quite a valid sort of question about how do you know how to pitch at, and I suppose that's something that in the early days you are often in a situation where you're taking what you're given, or as we sort of suggest to students, look around on the web to see what people are offering in terms of contributions. Do they state what their payment they're making? It's obviously a lot easier to command higher rates of pay if you're established or a high-profile writer. I have to say, in the current climate, of course, it's these are tough times all around, and that's including newspaper budgets when it comes to freelancers. Claire, very sensible question, is just saying, I've always sort of thought that the switchboard is a very good, in some companies, is a very good way of checking up. Often you've got contacts for people working in different companies and in the media and so on, and almost certainly those contacts will be almost immediately out of date as soon as they're published. The switchboard is about the only person in the building who can't really to tell you to get lost, and shouldn't be too averse to answering your questions about who's in charge or who the best person to speak to about a particular thing is. And I think that can make a difference, because I've certainly seen in offices ideas languishing unused on one desk because they've been sent to the wrong person, and that person, obviously in an ideal world they would trot over to their colleague who does want it and pass it over, but we don't live in a personal world.